She is on it. Welcome to How We Align Our Thoughts with Our Purpose. This is our monthly Q&A for One Light Ahead, One Light Academy. I get to be the founder, the facilitator, the coach, the individual that helps people discover how to live whole and brave, their leadership pathways to our leadership academies, and our deep dive of Living Unlayered Leadership Retreat. There's so many things we cover, including we serve three major industries: the real estate industry, the insurance industry, and the hospitality industry. Today, we're focusing on real estate because we have some amazing guests with us today that cover a lot of businesses as well. Carrie and Heber Gonzalez are our special guests today, and they get to answer a few questions before we dive into Q&A session. Are you two ready?
Yes, we
Ready.
sure are.
Beautiful. So, first of all, how did we get you to join our amazing community?
Well, I've coached with you, April, many moons ago, right? At least maybe 10 years ago with
About.
Sir Williams, and you really helped me break through, have some pretty strong breakthroughs back then. And we've been doing other coaching and things like that, but I think we needed something new, and so I reached out to you, and yeah, it was a good thing.
It was a good thing. I love that. And Carrie, how do you feel about all that?
Well, I was definitely open to it after he told me how much you had helped him in the past. And I know that, like you said, we had coached with others in the past, and some things worked, some things didn't, but nothing stuck. And I think we were at a point where we needed to get over a little bit of a hump. And so because you had helped him so much in the past, I thought, why not give it a try? And I think we hit it off right away. So, you're definitely very influential in our lives.
Well, beyond thankful for that. And would you speak a little bit about the businesses that you run and share more about the journey you've been on in regards to building those businesses and what made you choose to have all the different businesses you have?
Good question. Well,
We started off in real estate, right?
Yeah.
That's where we met, and we've done well with real estate. Honestly, we expanded more so during COVID because we were stuck at home, had time, and then other things came into mind. The idea of people not having life insurance, and the way to create life insurance as a savings vehicle was more not a, was how I got into life insurance, and then we ventured into
lending.
lending.
Yes.
Carie actually wanted to segue out of real estate and wanted to get just into lending. I have experience in lending from 2009 to 2012, before, when you can actually just do lending without a license or anything. There wasn't any regulation back then. So we got into lending. We opened up our mortgage company after Carie had tried working with a few people in mortgage.
It's a little hard to work for someone else when you've been working for yourself for so long.
It's a great awareness, and that's something all of our clients get to deal with. Great awareness.
Exactly. So yeah, as he said, I was looking to actually make a full transition out of real estate and into lending. The reason was complicated, but to put it in short, I had a couple bad experience, like safety wise. I wasn't feeling real safe, out showing homes to random strangers in the evening, that you get off Zillow. So I had decided this was a little bit safer for me. However, I went into it, liked it, didn't absolutely love it. Don't know that it's my strong suit exactly, but I think that's why I navigated back to real estate for the most part.
I mean, I think there's a learning curve to it, right?
Sure.
And adapting that to being a loan officer, and we're still, refining things, right? So
revenue.
that's going to take time, but building companies, establishing accounts, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that I don't think most people would normally see, that it takes a lot of back end work to get it to where you get the machine running and it's efficient, and and it's maybe a couple years in, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're still working on it, and that's one of the machines we got running in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
a
my
couple others too, right?
yeah. Well, my personality is this, if I don't know nearly everything about it, I don't consider myself good at it. So, in lending, it's evolving, just like in real estate. I mean, it just takes time.
So
Right.
you actually have multiple businesses, including a property management company that you were just building.
Correct.
That's the fourth, and building the resources to take that on and not get more overwhelmed, right? So it's been a challenge doing research again, building the back end out.
Yeah.
Just everything like from licenses to bank accounts to legalities and contracts and all that it takes to get that, and that's before you even get the business, right? So
And you have business at every one of them, and yet you have systems and structures you've been developing and we've been on fire about.
I think we
One step at a time.
we just went on that trip to Europe, right? So we're sitting on the dock in Barcelona, Spain, and we're talking about how we're going to expand this all out. And we were like, and I've got the models from Keller Williams, which is the budget, there's 4 models in Keller Williams that it would take me too long to recall, but we just broke it down to we need to deal with the people, the processes, and we could say the product, but in real estate it's more of the service, right? And just how to have a meeting on a Monday and just run through the 4 businesses and where we want to try to push each each domino, or not domino, but each piece forward, in each business, and addressing each one, and just seeing what is the best move we can make with each company to just push it forward a little bit, and so that it's moving forward and at the same time not overwhelming us, right?
Mhm.
Because we're not
But you get to
spending
live the life you
time.
want to create, and you get to create, and you get to invest in the people you want to invest in. And what did you experience at the retreat and the self-leadership program that you got to participate in to help you start getting on fire about these things?
I think when I went to the retreat, I was kind of stuck with emotion, I think
Mhm.
I was very short on my conversations with people. I was kind of I was walking around with a wound that I was afraid I was gonna open up, so I think anybody that went saw that completely explode. But it made me more comfortable with the conversation of having my mom pass, right? I don't think I'd even be able to say that before without just busting out in like some kind of a sobbing mess. But now I think I'm more, not that it doesn't still jar me, but I don't think that's ever going to go away. But it allows me to actually finish the conversation and go into things, and people will, I want to make connections with people, so being emotional is somewhat, I think, good, but where you can't communicate anymore is not good. And that's where I was and where I am differently today. That yeah, I think I think I'm in a better place. And that should lead into every other room I walk into, right? This one
Absolutely.
included.
Mhm.
This room included, yes. And Carrie, what do you want to share?
I think the retreat helped Eber and I start communicating better.
Mhm.
I've seen a big difference since we left the retreat. And I mean, we're a married couple, we run 4 businesses together, and we're together a lot. So, there's things that come up sometimes, whether it's personal or business, that we don't always agree on. And so I think the retreat has helped us have more conversations around those things.
That's an understatement, right? And you can see all those that went to the retreat with you, which are many of them in the room, they can see the joy that you two exude and the connection you two exude. And it was already in the room when you went to the retreat, and now, especially with the trip to Barcelona, it is exuding you at a very high level, which is exciting, because that's the purpose you do this for, is to be able to make memories like that and to be able to give that to your family, etc.
Yes.
So one more question before we open it up to Q&A, and then anything else you want to share is, through the journey, what would you recommend to people that, from what you've experienced? Because systems are part of the process, but people are the number one part of the process. Building your relationships, connecting with people. is something you, Heber, said, the connection that you got for yourself with others, yet as Carie shared, what the connection you two got for each other was two of the major things that you've been really unveiling at a high level for yourself and for the people you get to serve, including the team you're developing. So what would you recommend from what you've learned? If you were to choose one specific or a couple of things that you would recommend to the people listening in the room as well as on video.
I think that it's not always what it seems. You think the issue could be one thing, but as you taught us, there are many layers to what's going on with you, or an issue you might be having or think you have, and it might not be the exact thing you think,
right?
Because there's so many different elements to it.
Great awareness. Anything else you would add to that?
I think having conversations with people and reaching out to people that have strong input and positive input, because I do have people that I have conversations with and I just hang up and I'm like, I shouldn't have had that conversation or I spent too long on it. But then sometimes just having conversations with people that are strong in a certain space that we're trying to develop, that have done what we've done or what we're trying to do in getting that done. I mean, everything from trust accounts, where you put a trust account in our valley is very specific. There's only limited places you can go. So it took us a little bit of learning curve, but we talked to people, and they told us what we could do, what we should do. And that's the big thing. And that also leads into business, right? You're trying to fill the funnels of your businesses, and continuing the conversations with people is the big thing, the big rotation, because staying in your quiet or your peace is not always the best move for that when you're trying to do business and refine it.
One Light Academy was built to align resources, to align community, and how we align our thoughts with our purpose was created to help people discover that exactly. And this community is what we are here to provide, is to connect people like everyone in the room. And so that was a beautiful way of saying, if I don't have the conversation, I don't know what the resources are available. And some of those conversations are not always going to be fruitful, and some of those are going to be very fruitful. And you've got some amazing fruitful relationships.
Yeah, I do. And Carie and I, we have different resources, right? And then, having conversations on each other, and then we come back and we recap what we learned from, say the conversations we had with other people, and how they, it just gives you different ideas, because you could be stuck on something that's really simple to somebody else, but for you, it's a total wall, right?
Exactly.
So it takes that. I think that's the biggest thing, and being aware to what you're looking to get out of a conversation is also important, because that allows you to kind of reach out to specific people. You need an architect, you need you know where to reach out. And then it's silly because you haven't talked to these people for a couple years, and you call them, hey, do you know a good architect? And then next thing you know, you're having a conversation about other people that you know, and then it opens up, and then you call that other person, and then and it's just kind of takes your day. But then what happens is it's weird, but in the back end, your business starts ringing. And I don't know how that can, the ether, the whatever you want to call it, but it totally does. The more that I do that, the more that the back end starts ringing, and you're like, holy moly, you create momentum, and it's not completely understandable to me, but
I know what you're talking about.
But I have faith in it,
I remember when I first started in real estate, and I didn't really have much business at that time. I would go door dropping, and I would go door dropping for an open house or a new listing or something like that. And I wouldn't necessarily get business from that particular activity, but the phone would start ringing in other ways. And business would just grow. So you have to put yourself in activity to create more business, even if it's not that one thing that you're doing.
Well, it's interesting because it leads to a question I had shared with you. I would ask you, I hadn't asked you yet, is what made you build the podcast that you built? Because now you do have an immense amount of influence. Now you are well recognized in your community. You have built a high level of business and you're working to the next level, which is what we are working on together. What made you choose the title of your podcast and how you're starting to share that?
So the name is Opposites Unite, right? Because we're different in a lot of ways. So but I think we what's when two foods complement each other, right? So we complement each other, and we help because we each have our own ways of handling things. It gives us two perspectives, and we can see both sides in a lot of things that typically, when you're dealing with things on your own, you kind of, you're built a certain way, and you have to look at life through that lens, or the decisions through that lens. But when you have two different lenses, so that's where Opposites Unite came from. So we're looking at our topics through two different lenses and getting two perspectives at the same time, and hopefully provide some information to people that would, help them, help them get over whatever hurdle they're getting through or facing.
Beautifully said. And Carie, is there anything else you want to add to that before we open it up?
No, I think he pretty much hit it right on the head.
He did. He did a great job. It was a process to determine that podcast title.
Yes, it was.
It took 6 months to build and 7 months to get the name.
Oh, and by the way, those of you that concept of that overnight success is not an overnight process, right? It is a trial and error process for many. Some have it immediately, some have, and there are many people in this room that have been through lots of different journeys. And so as we open it up for questions, this is what this community is about, is the opportunity to align each other's thoughts and help each person discover how your thoughts and purpose help them and add value to them. And anyone want to start the questions?
I'll start it off. I have a question.
Please.
So one thing that I find really interesting and something that I struggle with personally is the separation between my spouse and I, and how to integrate her into the day-to-day, because it's not really an ego thing, but I feel like she's a W-2 earner. I'm self-employed. I don't feel like she would grasp on some of the things I'm referencing when I talk business or the stresses or anxiety. So I'm just curious as to how you guys, the Gonzalez's, brought that into the fold for each other, how you made that happen, because I'm always like, I confine myself to the mental prison of how do I tell my wife what's going on without, having her too involved, or maybe I need to have her all the way involved. I don't know. That's the partnership, I guess. So just getting an idea of how you guys do that, how you came to do that, etc.
I don't think you can go halfway. I think it's like a full immersion.
Yeah.
We still have our little challenges there, here and there. I mean, I tell her that she beat Tesla has this thing when the light changes, it goes bing, right, to let you know that the light changed.
Yeah.
She
Yep.
still beats Tesla. To let me know that the light has turned green.
Right.
Because he's not paying attention when he's driving. So I'm like, hey, the light's green.
The
That
point
has
is,
nothing to do with business.
I know, but my point is that we just kind of we laugh about things like that, and we put things on the table, things that are uncomfortable. I've gotten in the habit of just spitting it out, like shut up, ever say it, like, you know what I mean? Or else it kind of festers and ferments and then becomes like a whole different problem. But and still not perfect at that, but I try to really push awkward topics to the front, more so than to the back. I find they get cleared out faster, and you deal with the, I don't know, I think it forms a better trust, right? And then it leaves less under the carpet, because the carpet could get kind of piled up, man, and you start tripping over it on the way to the, on the way out.
That's right.
That's so
right.
much
I appreciate that.
Cherokee, thank you for asking. And you have lots of different businesses and in your community. So you have some awareness of what they're walking. Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah.
I know there's a multitude, Mr. DeSena.
So Eber, you mentioned the Keller Williams models that you're using. Are those the models that are right in the red book?
Yep, MREA. It's
Yep.
budget, org.
Did you see April smile when she's went, yep?
You know what? I am very systematic, and I love models because it keeps my crazy head from going off into 17 different things at the same time. So it just helps me slice my, I even went so far as for years I was doing like 1 week I would focus on one model and just push like the way that we do the budgets, and Carie actually hates it, I think, because this is the thing we did in Barcelona. She's like telling me like, I'm not really loving that terminology. Can we reframe it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Because again, I see the value and see her seeing it in a, okay, she's open to the concept of like visiting. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me get her more buy-in. I'm not married to the words. I'm married to her, right? So like, I'll get rid of those words. What words do we need to replace? Like, how do we want to do it? So we were like people, the budgets were more the budget, that can't change, but
It just wasn't resonating with me.
Mhm.
The terminology that they use and the breakdown of it, it's never resonated with me. So anytime he's wanted to, to sit down and have those meetings, anything other than budget, I don't get it. I'm like, I almost glaze over. So that was one thing we talked about when we were away. Just let's do a reframe. Let's identify what are the things that are important that we want to address in our meetings of the 4 businesses, and then go off of maybe like our own concepts.
Yeah, because I have budget spreadsheets that are like, Excel spreadsheets that are like 15, the tabs at the bottom deep, down to every credit card, what gets spent out of every credit card. And that's my manic mind. And that's how I need to kind of wrap my head around it. She wants, but at the same time, you can't get stuck on that because that's going to take you a whole day. You have to put it, we put it in a way where it's, the idea being that it's short, right? That you only visit it 15 minutes. We're replacing our CPA right now. So we're looking for a bookkeeper that can give us a P&L by the 5th of the month, so that when we have our meeting, it's just a P&L visit. It's not, we already know where everything's coming out of. So that's in the back now. But that was a lot of work to get it there, right? So doing that work to get that there, that budget part is now 15 minutes. Then now we move on to the personnel, which is we have 2 virtual assistants. We just hired a second one, and getting them onboarded. Believe it or not, getting a person onboarded onto your staff and just giving them passwords to your stuff is such a huge nightmare that whenever they leave, you cutting them off is essentially, half your day. And now we refined it into a system, NordPass, right? Which it sounds silly, but it takes you how long? 30 minutes maybe to get them all.
It took me like 5 minutes this morning.
To get somebody all your passwords that they need. And just a quick tip is it gives them the password. You know how you autofill your passwords and it just shows like asterisk? It'll do that for them in every website they need to get into. And then whenever they say they decide to leave and you just take away the authorization and it no longer autofills it. It's a really cool tool. But what I'm saying is like, it's just about working on each one of these processes daily. And I feel like I got a little bit away from the question.
No, but you answered so many that I didn't have to ask.
Well, and those of you who are learning, Heber works in a very puzzle focus. And so every conversation is in the puzzle aspect, where Carrie's in the connection. And it's actually interesting, very bottom line aspect of it, right? And Heber actually has the connection and the puzzle. He wants to have everything wrapped in his mind. So it's really fun to watch.
I kind of try to throw out as much as I can really fast.
You do.
Which I hope resonates, but I understand where it sometimes confuses.
It's a depth of information.
Not the plan though.
No, you're creating pathways and tools for each other. I love the way you said, I'm married to my wife, not to the words. That was a powerful statement. Great job. Who's next? Thank you, Stephen. Oh, and we have hit the 30 minutes. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Ms. Lisa. 30 minutes goes by really quickly, doesn't it? We will go ahead and stop the recording so we can make sure